Uh, yes, yes, yes. Welcome again to another stream or session here on Chaos Rain channel. As I'm Chaos Rain here, and today's stream podcast / YouTube channel. There's gonna be a few spoilers on the title, as you see with the thumbnail. And for those that's not familiar with the history of the movie or the franchise, I will do a quick Google just to remind young people, most people, mostly millennials and Gen Zs, because I know Generation X is familiar of this franchise more than certain millennials and certain Gen Zs, ironically. And the reason why I'm saying it is because this only hits to a few demographics of people. But before I start the stream, if you're new to Chaos Rain channel, thank you. And those that will be new in the future, make sure you hit the red button, subscribe button, and hit the top ding notification bell for all uploads and streams, live streams here on the Chaos Rain channel. Also, you can now follow me on Twitter at Chaos Rain 7. Hold on. And you can now add me as a friend on Facebook, Eric Rain on Facebook. And I'm just going through some looking. Just want to do one last thing. Okay. And also, okay. Also, you can find me on all audio podcasting of all shows of Chaos Rain channel and some of the uploads as well. So, like always, I'm all over the place. And I'm just looking at the feeds, looking at a lot of things. Adam Warlocker. Interesting. I'm just going through some things. Yeah, I'd be surprised with so much things on the net, especially. But I think I lay out most everything. And what else I'm forgetting? Oh yes, and I would like to hear from y'all personally. The comment section is free. You can always leave a comment on what you've heard, what you thought about certain streams, what you like, you dislike. Also, if you're listening live right on the air, please hit the like button as you come in. And like always, feedback is always appreciated and importance, because like always, content could always be reflected by your feedback, and silence means compliancy at the end of the day. And like always, we don't want to be complacent and comfortable with things that we see or heard. So we always got to express our thoughts and feelings. That's how things can be changed, by your verbal expression. So now I'm trying to find something. Let me see if I have the articles in front of me. I'm looking at it now. Is this the one? But before I show the article, let me give y'all the snippet spoiler. Well, actually, let me give you the title of the stream. The title of the stream is titled, hold on. Let me make sure this title's right. Yeah. The title for the stream for tonight is 007 Reveal. Hold on. No, 007 Reveal. Is this the end? Now, what I mean by is this the end? For those that watch the recent movie No Time to Die this week, leading on to the weekend, is very telling. And it's so telling that it lets the fans and audience that is a heavily fan of James Bond and the history of James Bond gasping for air, the excitement, the thrill of the action, but more in depth than just the action you should focus on. You should focus on the storyline that leads up to the actor known as Daniel Craig playing his last role in a well-established franchise since Dr. No in 1962. But like I said, let me look at the Wikipedia version of the little backstory of James Bond. And one thing before we do that, hold on, make sure I got it right now. Let me do this quickly. Okay, so now, as y'all see the things, and then refresh this bad boy here. Now, the history of James Bond. Before we go into the meat ahead, what is the history of 007? Let's take a look. Because, like I said earlier, people don't know the history of James Bond. Interesting. All right, let me see this Wikipedia. Oh, that's not it. Is this the one? No, that's not it. Oh, okay. I'm putting the wrong title. Okay, there we go. Found it. My apologies, people. Let's share this so y'all can take a good look at this bad boy. Share. As you see right here, James Bond. As you know, the article is about the series for character scene James Bond, a literary character for other use, James Bond, etc., 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 etc. James Bond series focused on the fictional British Secret Service agent created in 1953, roughly 68 years ago, by writer Ian Fleming, who featured him in 12 novels and 2 short story collections since Fleming's death in 1964. And we're not sure what year Fleming was born, but he died during the release of the second film, ironically. 8 other authors have written authorized Bond novels or novelizations of Kingsley Amis, Christopher Woods, John Garner, Raymond Benson, Sebastian Faulks, Jeffrey Dever, William Boyd, and Anthony Horowitz. The latest novel is Forever and a Day by Anthony Horowitz, published in May of 2016. Additionally, Charlie Higson wrote a series of young James Bonds, and Kate Westbrook wrote 3 novels based on the diaries of a recurring series character by Money Penny. Now, going through down here, it goes more into detail. 007 is the code name, and adapted by television, radio, comic strips, etc., and even video games. Going down, I'm just going to scan through it. The film series has grossed over $7.4 billion in total, making it the 6th highest gross film series to date, which started in 1962 with the first movie, Dr. No. And this is the picture of Dr. No. Sean Connery as Bond as 2021. There has been 25 films in Eon production series. The most recent Bond film, as you see for the thumbnail, No Time to Die, starring Daniel Craig. in his fifth portray on Bond. He is the sixth actor to play Bond in the Eon series. There has also been two independent production Bond films, Casino Royale. Now, let me look when Casino Royale came out. The original one came out in 1967. Okay. And starring David Niven. Never Say Never Again, a 1983 remake of the early Eon produced films of 1965 Thunderball, both starring Connery. In 2015, a series was established to be worth $19.9 billion, making James Bond one of the highest gross media franchises of all times. Bond films are renowned for a number of features, including the musical accompanied with the theme song having received Academy Awards nominations on several occasions and 2 wins. Other important elements which run through most of the film, including Bond's cars, his guns, and the gadgets with which he is supplied by Q Branch. And remember, Q has always been reformed for some time. The Q that you see in the last James Bond film is a younger Q, but he takes on the code name Q. He's not really Q, but Q, if y'all know the history, is a code name. And you see right here. And the film are also noted for Bond's relationship with various queen women, who are sometimes referred to as Bond girls. As you can tell right here, many women. And as you know, literary articles, etc., Fleming created a fictional character by James Bond as a central figure for his works. Bond is an intelligence officer in the Secret Intelligence Service, commonly known as MI6, which is a real fraction, is actually like the CIA of Europe. Bond, known for his code number 007, and was a Royal Naval Reserve commander. Interesting. Did not know that. Fleming based his fictional creation on a number of individuals he came across during his time in the Naval Intelligence Division and 30 assault units during the Second World War. Admits that Bond was a compound of all the secret agents of commando types I met during the war. Along those types were his brother Peter, who has been involved in the behind-the-line operations in Norway and Greece during the war. Aside from Fleming's brother, and a number of others also provide some aspect of Bond's makeup, including Commander O'Brien French, Patrick Dazil Jobs, and Billy Bithor, Dundrell. And the name James Bond came from of American orthodox James Bond. Orthodox, if I pronounce it right. A Caribbean bird expert and author of the definite field guide, Birds of the West Indies. Now, when you mean West Indies, it could be potentially maybe Jamaica, Trinidad, Tobago's, who knows. Fleming is a keen bird watcher himself, had a copy of Bond's guide, and later explained to the ornithologist's wife that it struck me that his brief, unromantic Anglo-Saxon. Now, what's an Anglo-Saxon? Look it up, please. You gotta look that up to know what that is. And yet, very masculine name was just what I need. And so the second James Bond was born. He further explains that when I wrote the first one in 1953, 68 years ago, I want Bond to be an extremely dull, uninteresting man to whom things happen. I want him to be a blunt instrument. When I was casting around for a name for my protagonist, I thought, by God, James Bond is the dullest name I ever heard. And Ian Fleming, the New York of 21st of April of 1962. On another occasion, Fleming said, I want the simplest, dullest, plainest sounding name I could find. And James Bond was much better than something more interesting, like what they call Peregrine. I think that's pronounced Carruthers. Exotic things would happen to and around him, but he would be a neutral figure, anonymous, blunt instrument wielding a by a government department. Yes, that's true. Thank you, boy. Bloodborne. It is. Going down. Fleming decided that Bond should resemble both American singer, what they call Haggai Carmichael, and himself. And in Casino Royale, Vipers Lynn remarks Bonds remind me rather of Hugo Carmichael, but there is something cold and ruthless, likewise, and what they call Moonraker Special Branch Office Gail Brand. Think of Bond is certainly a good-looking, rather like Hugo Carmichael. Anyway, that black hair falling down over the right eyebrow, much the same bones, but there was something a bit cruel in the mouth, and the eyes were cold, very cold. And this is the picture of the guy, Mr. Carmichael. I can click onto that. Fleming endowed Bond with many of his own traits. Now, mind you, Ian Fleming, if you see the picture of Ian Fleming, he really wrote this novel in resemblance of himself. And there was speculation, him writing it, he really wanted to star in his own writing, i.e., film, and portray the character he created, the character we know as James Bond, which is not surprising. You know, a lot of artists nowadays or writers, they want to emulate what they create to be their reflection. So find it on another magazine. I think this was Newsweek, one of the magazines, but no, I'm not reading off that. All right, where am I? Including sharing the same golf handicap and the taste of for scrambled eggs, and using the same brand of what they call toiletry. Bond's tastes are also often taken from Fleming's own, as was his behavior. With Bond love of golf and gambling mirroring Fleming's own, Fleming used his experience of his espionage career and all of other aspects of his life as inspiration when writing, including using names of school friends, what they call acquaintances, relatives, and lovers throughout his books. It was not until the what they call ultimate novel, You Only Live Twice, that Fleming gave Bond a sense of family background. The book was the first to be written after the release of Dr. No. In cinema, Sean Connery depicts a Bond's effective Fleming interpretation of the character to give Bond both a sense of humor and Scottish accent that were not present in the previous stories. In a fictional obituary reportedly published in the Times, Bond's parents were given an Andrew Bond from the village of what they call Glennsea, Scotland, and Monique Dalrox from the canton of Vad, Switzerland. Fleming did not provide Bond's date of birth, but John Person fictional biography of Bond, James Bond, and the authorization biography of 007 gives Bond a birth date on the 11th of November 1920, while a study by John Grosswald puts the date of the 11th of November 1921. Okay, so he never had a birth date until not sure which book when this book came out. When this book came out? Oh, that was after when Fleming died in '64. So when he died in '64, 2 years later, on the next book, that's when they gave a date of birth to James Bond, which is makes sense because if he was born in 1922 or 21, in the first film, he will be if the film came out in 1962, because most of these dates are accurate when in regards to films. 1962 to 2000 1922 or 21. That would have made James Bond roughly 40 something years old, which really made sense because we look at the film of Daniel Craig. He is actually 53 years old of today, or when his birthday came about this year. But Bond in the movies, even each movies, he's actually roughly in his 40s. Most of the actors you see that's on there could be approaching 40s, except Sean Connery, because when he played James Bond back in 1962 of Doctor No, Sean Connery was roughly born 1930, so he would have been 31 going 32 of that year playing James Bond, make him younger than previous of the date of when he was born. So, a good little background of all that. Let's see if anything else I want to go into. Let me see. All right, I'm gonna read this and end this part. Wish list. Serving in the Naval Intelligence Division, Fleming had plans to become an author and had told a friend, "I'm going to write the spy stories to end all spy stories." On the 17th of February 1952, he began writing his first James Bond novel, Casino Royale, at the Golden Eye Estate in Jamaica. Hold on. Give me a second, guys. Okay. So when he was writing his books, he was in Jamaica. Interesting. Very interesting. I remember a friend told me about this. I didn't believe him, but now reading this for the first time makes sense. Where he wrote all his Bond novels during the month of January and February each year. He started the story short before his wedding to his pregnant girlfriend, Anna, Charteris, or Charteris, in order to distract himself from the forthcoming Nipples. Don't know what that is. After completing the manuscript for Casino Royale, Fleming showed it to his friend and later editor, William Ponner, to read. Ponner liked it and submitted to the publish of Jonathan Capes, who did not like it as much. Capes finally published it in 1953 on a recommendation of Fleming's older brother, Peter, an established traveling writer. Between 1953 and 1966, 2 years after his death, 12 novels and 2 short stories collection were published, with the last 2 books, The Man with the Golden Gun, which it shows here, and Octopus and the Living Daylight, published mostly. All the books were published in the UK through Jonathan Cape. And these are his novels, as you can see right here. Remember, he died in 64. So, and probably before he died, these books were somewhat finished. I'm looking at all this. From Russia with Love, that came out as a movie. Diamonds Are Forever, that was a movie. Moonraker, yep, which that is a movie. Live and Let Die, which is another movie. Golden Finger, which became movie. So post-Fleming novels. After Fleming's death, a continuation novel, Cornell Sons, was written by Kingsley Ames, Robert Marksman, and published in 1968. Ames had already written a literature study of Fleming Bond's novels in his 1965 work, The James Bond Dozier. Although novelist of 2 of the EM Productions Bond films appeared in print, James Bond, The Spy Who Loves Me, this picture right here, and James Bond and Moonraker, both written by screenwriter by Christopher Woods. The series of novels did not continue until 1980. In 1981, the thriller writer John Garner picks up the series by license renewal. Garner went on to write 16 Bond books in total, and the books he wrote, License to Kill and Goldeneye, were novelists and Eon production films on the same name. Garner moved the Bond series into the 1980s, although he retains the age of character as they were films of what it were when Fleming had left them. In 1996, Garner retired from writing James Bond books due to ill health. And I believe this is one of his books that he wrote. For a special service, Icebreaker, Roll Honor, Nobody Lives Forever, The Deals, Mr. Bond, Scrupulous, Win, Lose, or Die, Broker Claw, License to Kill. I'm not sure why that didn't pop up. The Man with from Barbarossa, Depth is Forever, Never Send Flowers, Still Fire, Golden Eye, and Cold. And another one from Raymond Benson, became Arthur Bond novelist, James Bond companion, first published in 1984 and goes on from related projects in 2002. Benson had written 6 Bond novels, 3 novelists, and 3 short stories. Blast from the Past, Zero Minus Theory, Tomorrow Never Dies, which was a good movie. The Facts of Death, Midsummer Night Doom, Live at 5, The World Is Not Enough. And this right here was a film that came out 22 years ago by Pierce Brosnan and the fictional MI6 agent James Bond. The film was directed by Michael Adapt with the original story and screenplay written by, High Times to Kill. All right. Double Shot. Never Dream of Dying. The Man with the Red Tattoo. They Die Another Day, which came out 19 years ago. Michael G. Wilson, Barbara Bacall, and directed by Lee Tamahorn, is the 4th and final film of star Pierce Brosnan and as MI6 agent James Bond. It was so this is the last movie by Pierce Brosnan that came out 19 years ago, and we all know that Daniel Craig did not appear in James Bond until 4 years later. So if my math is right, they had to announce a new James Bond, and it's going to be next year. And once they announce it, you're going to look in the next 2 or potential 3 years of the production of this new film. If my math is right. And let me double check, make sure, because I got to check the timelines. This came out. Well, actually, it varies. It could be from 4 to 5 years, but who knows? After a gap of 6 years, Sebastian Faulks was commissioned by Iron Fleming Productions or Publications to write a new Bond novel, which was released on 28th of May 2008, the 100th anniversary of Fleming's birth. Sorry. Oh, interesting. So Ian Fleming was born in 1908. 1908. 1908. He was born. So he was born 1908 and he died in 1964. He died at around late 50s. If my math is right. Let me do my calculator. Just because I always gotta check the math of this. $19.08 subtracted by 2000. I mean my fault. Let me do it. Let me do it over. Let me see if I can clear this. How to clear this? I did something wrong. Let me open back my calculator. I just gotta do this again, guys, because I want to make sure the math is right. 64. So yeah, he died at roughly 50, like 56. He died 56 years old. But let's check. 1908. No, actually, let me go back. 1964 subtracted by 1908. Yeah, I was right. 56 years old. He died. Imagine it. He died very young. He must have had illness or something. But anyway, let's keep going. And these are the films by Raymond Benson. I mean, the books by Raymond Benson. Sorry. 0 minus 10. Oh no, I read that already. Sorry. Let me go down. After the gap of 6 years, Sebastian Falk, which I read already. The books, Devil May Care, which is ironic that there is a video game called Devils May Cry, but that's another story. Was published by UK Penguin Books and Doubleday in the US. American writer Jeffrey Dever, there's a picture of this man, yes, this was then commissioned by I.M. Flem's publication to produce Cartel Barrage, which was published on the 26th of May 2011. The book turned Bond into a post 9/11 agent independent of MI15 or MI16 on the 26th of September 2003. Solo by William Boyd, set in 1969, was published in October 2014. It was announced that Anthony Hortz was the writer of Bond's continuation novels. Set in the 1950s, 2 weeks after the event of Goldfinger, it contains material written by previous revealing by Fleming, Trigger Mortis. And it was released on the 8th of September 2015. Hort's second Bond novel, Forever and a Day, tells his origin story of Bond as a double agent prior to events of Casino Royale. The novel, also based on unpublished material from Fleming, was released on the 31st of May 2018. And these are the books. And how long is this? I'm just looking through this, guys. Yeah, we can keep going. And I'm hoping y'all guys get some valuable information about this, because this was never examined. If we want to keep it 100, I think one of the weakness or lack of understanding of history is we never understand the origin of the character who wrote it, either we care or not, but understand the purpose why he wrote it. These are things we should really ask the question. And the funny thing about it is that when you watch these movies, there's lots of message in a lot of movies. I think with James Bond, the recent few movies from Spectre to Casino Royale, to I'm trying to remember the other movie before Spectral. Um Damn, I can't remember. But it was something before the Spectral kind of revealed about United Nations, you know, New World Order, all that shit. That's in the films. And that was written by authors that put it into film. Keep that in mind. I'm gonna go down the list. Young Bond. Young Bond series of novels was started by Charlie Higson, and between 2005 and 2009, 5 novels and 1 short story were published. The first Young Bond novel, Silverfin, was also adapted and released as a graphic novel on the 2nd of October 2008 by Puffin Books. In October 2013, Ian Flynn published announced Stephen Cole would continue the series and with the first edition scheduled to be released by autumn of 2014. And these are his books. Money Penny Diaries, another book company articles that wrote books from James Bond. Miss Moneypenny and Miss Personal Secretary. The novel is penned by Samantha Wingber under the pseudonym Kate Westbrook, who is depicted as the book editor. The first installment of the trilogy is submitted by Guardian Angel, was released on the 10th of October 2005 in UK, and the second volume submitted Secret Service was released on the 2nd of November 2006 in UK publishing by John Murray. And more third volumes subtitled by Final Flame, etc., etc. Those are the books. And here there's the adaptation of television, which I'm not going to look into. Well, actually, interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. And these are the films or TV series. Okay. I'm just scanning this. Radio, comics or comic books, and the film's aspect of things. But before the film aspect, as you could tell, I can read for yourself. This is what you see. These are the actors, only 6 in the past 59 years since the first film in 1962. Not many actors, people. Timothy Leon Dalton, legit British actor. He started playing James Bond from 1987 to 1989. Then Pierce Brosnan did not take the role until roughly 6 years later in 1995 2002. That's a period of 7 years. And Daniel Craig, which, if my math is right, I think he's the longest running James Bond. Let me look, make sure. Roger Moore was in English. Roger Moore started in 1973 to 1985. That make it 12 years. Him 7 years. 1 year. So Daniel Craig is the only in the franchise that played James Bond the longest, which is a record breaking, as actually 14 years. But because the film came out in 2020 because of the situation we had this year globally, that the movie was supposed to release in 2020. So I will say, because it came out this year, it is only roughly 14 years. He has played James Bond for 14 years, longer than Roger Moore. He had the record of the longest playing James Bond from 1973 to 1985. Daniel Craig broke that last year. And remember, he only played for 12 years. Daniel Craig played for 14. He broke it 2 years ago, but we could say 15, but we want to keep at 14 at best. So now let's go down. These are the movies, all 25 movies. Dr. Noon, From Russia with Love, Goldfinger, Thunderball, You Only Live Twice, In Her Majesty, In Majesty Secret Service, Diamonds Are Forever, Live and Let Die, The Man with the Golden Gun, The Spy Who Loves Me, Moonraker, For Your Eyes Only, Octopussy, A View to Kill. A View to Kill, The Living Daylight, License to Kill, Golden Eye, which I think Golden Eye, if you remember, there was a book written a long time ago that was now turned to film. As you could tell. Tomorrow Never Dies, The World Is Not Enough, Die Another Day, Casino Royale, the remake of it, Quantum Solace, Skyfall, which that's the movie I try to remember. It was Skyfall that came out 9 years ago. Spectral, and the one that just came out, No Time to Die. And that's pretty much it. And the top bomb vehicle is always the Corvette, or actually the Stingray. Oh no, actually Aston Martin. My fault. Aston Martin. Yeah, I get mixed up between the cars. Very nice vehicle. Many gadgets, culture impact. And that's it. That is it. Now, as I'm looking at the time here, let me refresh. I'm probably going to soon give the spoilers. I'm not going to say it right away. Because if I say it right away, it's going to debauch what has really been put out here. I got some more time. So, what should I say and continue? As you know, that was just a brief background. If you want to know more of the history and read it for yourself, you can easily Wikipedia it. I'm not going to put that in the description. Y'all know how to use Google and Wikipedia. You can find out more about James Bond history. I just only gave you the snaps of it. And like I said, you can consider me a Bond fan to a degree. I mean, I watched mostly all since 2006 to now, mostly every movie Daniel Craig played of James Bond. And as I scroll back, make sure it's all 6 movies. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, it's my fault. 5 movies he played in James Bond, which make him the longest actor to play James Bond in the last 36 years. That's a long time. Normally, most actors that play James Bond, the most and the average you see might play is roughly almost over 5 years. This man played this character in 5 films in under 14, going on 15 years, because the movie was released last year. So this year it would make it 15, but it was supposed to, it was finished production and was supposed to release last year. But I still give it 14 years because the movie should have came out last year. But this year, nonetheless, it came out in the month of October. So, as you know, he's the longest running James Bond, and he did a real good job. And I think they said out of all James Bond, he played James Bond, I would say, the best, second to Sean Connery. I can't speak about all the other Bonds. I think Pierce Brosnan played a good job, but I don't see him really cultivating James Bond like how Daniel Craig has done it, in my opinion. But that's just me. One thing in this recent James Bond, there is a new MI6 agent in sight of what we all want to call replacing the existing James Bond. Who is this actor? Who is this lady? Let's look into who is this lady. And as you know, as I share this one thing I would say, the direction that James Bond or the movie 007 is heading, I question it. Do I care? Really? No. Would it be nice to really see something different than them making this move? Possibly. But let's take a look. This is the woman that replaced 007 in the early parts of the film. Lashana Lynch leads the next 007 series. No Time to Die introduced a fantastic 007 with Lashana Lynch as Naomi. Should we see her again? Now, mind you, this article came out. Today is the 12th, going on the 13th. 11, 10. This came out on Sunday. This came out Sunday. 2 days once the release on the Thursday, going on Friday of last week. And it's written here. It was surprised when Naomi, the new and chick of MI6 agents played by Lashana Lynch, surrounded her 007 codename No Time to Die. Before that third act moments, she made a point of fiercely carving out the designation as her territory. She even delighted in the way everyone at MI6 called her by the title in front of Old Man James Bond. If handled in a different era or by different actors, this all might play as antagonism or unlikable. But in the case of the dynamic between Lynch and Daniel Craig and director Gary, or we call Carrie June Fakamian, handled, it was deeply entertaining. Painful enough, you might be back, but I'm not going to roll over just because your legacy. Hence why it seems somewhat unexpected when she volunteered to surrender the number of Bond before their third act invasion of a supervillain island, even as Bond had already heartily agreed to start calling her 007. In the theaters, it was by then speculating Bond would make it out of this mission alive. Is that a spoiler alert? It was a bit of a misdirection. If Bond 007 again, surely then wouldn't kill him off, right? And yet by the time the credits rolled, Bond was dead and 007 codename was once more vacant. All which returns us to the question of why have Naomi give it up? And where do they go from here with Lynch, exceedingly formidable double agent? Lynch is fabulous in her role of 007. Every a bit of stylish at her predecessor, but infinitely more comfortable in the modern world. And not just because of her gender or complexion. She has the swagger we associate with Bond's franchise and few of Bond's personal hangups and forbes. Forbes. She is not the new James Bond, but she is already a great 007. Yet by introducing her in a film where Bond is killed off in a way which demands a hard reboot in a few years, are we supposed to just treat her as a one and done? It feels ill-fitting to have her just roll over again for Bond legacy after an outstanding introduction. Now we're gonna pause right here. What's good? And if anybody wants me to post the link, if they want comments and expressions, let me know now in the comment section or the chat room. Now, they just spoiled what happened to James Bond during the end of the movie. I'll tell you more of my views about the film in a second. Daniel Craig made hay around the world earlier this year when he said the character of James Bond should only be played by a man. Not because men are better, but because there should be parts just as good for women. What he said shouldn't be controversial, especially since it echoes what longtime Bond franchise producer Barbara Baccarat had already stated several times. Bond is male, which is hard to argue with since character has always been defined by his masculinity and narrow to flawed views of women. Or narrow to a fault to views of women. The Pierce Brosnan and Dan Craig era has integrated the chauvinism, but chauvinism is still a defined aspect of the character. And without chauvinism, you don't have nothing on James Bond. It is what it is. With that said, No Time to Die has already proven while Bond is male, 007 is not. And as Craig said, there should be better parts for women and actors of color. Well, No Time to Die created just that, or just such a role for both in the Bond canon with Naomi, who likes Barbara Bach's Triple X in The Spy Who Loves Me, or Michelle Yeoh, Wan Lee in Tomorrow Never Dies, is as equal, in fact, more than those characters. She has successors and can stand on her own without even getting into his bed. If Bond had lived in No Time to Die and perhaps not become a father, it is easy image of continuing where Bond did reclaim the title of 007 and Naomi took on another designation. But now that Bond is dead and No Time to Die credits state clearly James Bond will return. It is seem like it's all for naughty, yet it argues it doesn't have to be. Let's look. Okay, we can continue. Let me make sure. I think I lost where I was at. Hold on, guys. All right. For starters, Craig's era may be most definitely since Sean Connery. That is not to say Craig is also as good as Connery, or even this writer's second favorite Bond, but he had the most consistent run on the film since the 1960s, and after a record-setting 15-year tenure, which, like I said, is 14 years, but they gave this 15 years because the movie came out this year, marks 15 years since 2006. He is only Bond a whole younger generation of fans had ever known from childhood until their 20s. Hence, like Connery, it might be hard to quickly replace Craig in the role of Bond. So if you're born, let's say, around 2006, and some people are born in the mid 80s and mid 90s, you will remember James Bond, or known of the film mostly, that you would probably love if you're a Bond fan or you just got in love with, is the version from Daniel Craig's version of James Bond, playing James Bond. So why does Bond have to return immediately? The Craig era already features two lengthy gaps between films, or 4 and 6 years of similar absence. Might make the heart-growing founder before Bond inedible, recasting the creating a window of where Eon's production could launch a new set of films starring Naomi as 007 or otherwise. Producers Brock Hull and Michael G. Wilson famously wanted to spin off Halle Berry Jinx from Die Another Day into her own franchise back in 2002, 19 years ago. But MGM reportedly got cold feet about spending $80 million on the Bond films for not starting James Bond. Additionally, given the assertion producers Barbara Broccoli was licensed, was wondering if it was also an early art speculation towards women-led action films, which led to the film cancellation. Now, it's bullshit. That's a lot of bullshit, and let me tell you why. There was always films of women. I can't name a few off the top of my head since Daniel Craig took the role back in 2006. But if we could really go and do a quick Google search, we could find most films that did well and flunked that star woman roles. We're living in an era now of cancel culture. A lot of, I'm not sure if we want more push of homosexuality and a lot of weird, goofy stuff in regards to pushing women in certain situations for the last few years. And how I view things is getting goofy out here. And to have Halle Berry, and mind you, Halle Berry back in 2002, she played and got an Academy Award on the movie called Monsters Ball. And people not familiar with Monsters Ball, you could easily find that movie. I'm not gonna tell you what it is, but let's just say she really stick it in to get that gold Oscar. That's all I'm gonna tell you. Whoever the case might be, the early 2020s are a different environment, and frankly, Naomi is a much better character than Jinx, which she is. I ain't gonna lie, she is a better selection. Admittedly, the idea of Eon focused only on Naomi, even for just a few years, is a bit of a pipe dream due to the industrial realities of franchise movie makers. Producers always need to be cognizant of how popular and visible their intellectual property is, particularly in a world where Bond feels like a royalty at the multiplex when compared to the almost piercings of superheroes. I think that's how you pronounce it. Movies. Plus, if the 60th anniversary goes by next year without confirmation of a Bond is returning and soon with a new phase, there is a chance of unsettling the old fan base, which could become a troublesome for producers as a fanboy, whom Star Wars producer now feels obligated to coddle as if they made or poor lane. So the next Bond will almost certainly be announced in the next 12 months. So by October, I expect they should have a new Bond or someone that's going to replace James Bond, or they might move forward to what they already had presented in this film that was just released last week. And with that comes a hard reboot. Still, that doesn't have to be the end of Naomi. While the character will known in No Time to Die will likely not be visited again, technically speaking, the Bond producers have already been open to play fast and loose with reboots, cherry pickings what they want and scrapping the rest. Consider the last time the Bond series had a hard reboot between Die Another Day and Casino Royale of 2006. For the first time in the character's history, Eon Productions wouldn't pretend it all the same guy. Yet, even though it was a firm reset, Dame Judi Dench returned as M. This doesn't make a lot of sense from the world building perspective, but from a vantage of filmmakers, how do you not include Dench? She was one of the best auditions from the Brosmic era and added a screwing female glaze towards 007 antics. Technically, Dunch played two subtle different misses. The one introducing by in GoldenEye was more of a traditional bureaucracy who statecrafts annoys Brosnan's season and more openly a sexist Bond. Thus, the famous line, "I think you're a sexist, misogynist dinosaur," a relic of the Cold War. Conversely, Dunce M in Casino Royale is the old school Cold War warrior, bemoaning how much better life was for spies before 9/11. Also, whereas Brosnan and Dunch character had a slowly evolving sense of mutual respect, almost as Pierre Craig Bond wore the chips of growing up an orphan on his shoulders, which Dunch M sympathized with and exploited. She became both a mentor and mother to this young raw Bond. Dunch characterized even had different civil names according to the GoldenEye script. Dunch, first M, was named Barbara Mawasli, whereas we learned explicitly as Skyfall, 2012. And that her second M was Olivia Mansfield. So if Eon has a reboot, it could get haze about the whole Dunch return as M thing. Then the next one should do the same for Lynch, returning as Naomi. Or Naomi, for all we care, just give her a last name and a new code name. If James Bond must return, and he should, then let Lynch get her new designated name. And I said this before I continue reading. Instead of calling her 007, she should be, in which this guy that wrote this was spot on because we think alike. This female should be called 008. Not 006. Screw that. No, you're going to be called 008. And the 8 sign, if you turn it to the side, means infancy, infinite. The later might even give the franchise the chance to re-image another classic Bond villain, Alex Trevelyan, if I pronounce his name. The point of Eon has long wanted another franchise led by a woman super spy who can build her own in-graph. Lynch performance just laid the foundation. No Time to Die is in theaters now. And that ends that part. Yeah. Oh, yes. Yep. Now the spoiler part. I'm looking at this. And for those that's listening, make sure you hit the like button and share this stream. Shares are free. It won't hurt you. I'm just looking at some. Interesting. Anyway. Okay. Now, the spoilers. And matter of fact, let me make a call. Kind of like to give no spoilers yet. Just give me a second, guys. I'm trying to find something. Where is he? Okay, here he is. Hey, what's good, Cerulean? What you up to?
Man, hanging out with the fam. What's going on?
Hey, what's good, man? I'm streaming live right now, YouTube. Did you catch the James Bond movie? Oh, okay. I'm going live right now talking about it. I watched it over the weekend. And to let you know, because I read the article that, and I tell people right now, this is really great from the great regime. The spoiler for those who will watch it, and they will watch it, is that he's dead. And how he dies, I can't tell y'all that because you got to watch the movie personally. But for those that didn't understand that, they are going to remake and reboot this franchise. Now, is it going to be James Bond? They tell you in the credits that he will return, but it is telling you the name. They didn't tell you if the code name 007 is going to return. That's difference. They can now put in a woman as the replacement as 007, which they did in this film, which they said it did pretty well.
Well, if you look at the James Bond franchise,
yeah,
like you understand, 007 is just really a code name, a code phrase.
It is.
Even, it's not like gender specific.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what it said in the article. You know what I'm saying? What Daniel Craig said is a code name. It's not really gender specific, which a lot of people, if they watch the film, which they're going to eventually will watch or haven't watched it, it tells you during when she came in during I think in Cuba when she introduced herself to James Bond. You get me? And he didn't know that they replaced him. But like everybody knows, 007 is a code name, like anything else. So it's not by gender that people go by. They go by James Bond, but they didn't understand why he was always called and refers to code 007 because that's his code name. They always refer him to his real name on average. You get me? For those that know him. You get me? So he goes by many titles.
Even James Bond, like it's kind of like your average, your American spy name, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your classic American spy name is like John Smith,
mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
It's meant to be a name that's just so common,
mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's common. So, but the point is, I'm telling you and telling people that's listening that they're gonna do a hard reboot, but now the direction how they're gonna take it now because it's been 25 films in over 59 years that they're gonna shift and start branch off this series. And if you're not familiar with it, cause I did the background on Wikipedia, that there are multiple writers. Even the guy that wrote the original James Bond novels back 68 years ago, and he died back in 64. That these same novels he wrote, some of them became films, and they decided to offshoot his writing to branch off, make it more than what it is, since they started making money.
But if you really understand it in context, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like it's actually a good thing, right? Like
mm-hmm.
you want like
diversity,
iconic characters.
Yeah.
You want your iconic characters. Business wise, you want your iconic characters to reach as many demographics as possible. The only people that are really upset about this are really those sexually repressed, don't really have a lot of friends.
Mm-hmm.
They want everything to be true to the tradition of what the movie has always been, which is basically typically white male, tall, dark haired,
blue eyes, maybe, possibly.
Maybe blue eyes, but what they consider quote unquote handsome, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now you're seeing like a new generation. Same thing with Star Wars, right?
Yeah.
That's just with anything. Like look at Marvel, right? X-23.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because Hugh Jackman can't play fucking Wolverine forever.
I know.
You know what I'm saying? So.
Yeah. And don't forget, what do you call it? Shang Tsung? Shang some. What the guy named? The guy that just came out last month.
Shang-Chi.
That did very well, and now the Eternals should be coming out. I don't know if it's this month or next month, but they start to really delve into the diversity piece of a lot of films. Some are hit and miss. And I was not really surprised that Shang-Chi did well, Shang-Chi, because it's something different. Yeah.
But look, hey, I gotta run.
All right, good. Okay. Okay.
If you're still alive, I'll let you call you back.
Okay, no, do your thing. And I was saying I was getting your take, but if I, like I said, but good. Thank you, Sir. Thank you. Appreciate your take. All right. Yeah, that's certainly great. And he said, well said. Well said. So the character died off, and the decision how they can move forward is they're going to do the reset, and the reset, from what I'm looking at, is going to be most likely going to be a female action hero in replacement of the previous male action hero for the past 59 years. Now, they're not going to announce if there's going to be a replacement James Bond. They said James Bond will return, but we all know within the next 12 months, starting now in October, that if they're going to move forward to replace a James Bond. Now, in the thumbnail, what y'all seeing in the middle is Elvis Ibris. Another African, I think he's Nigerian descent, born and raised in England. He was supposed to be the forerunner of replacing James Bond, a black man. Now, mind you, they replaced Elvis with a black woman from African origin, I think she's from Nigeria or some part of Africa, that's born in Europe as well. They were going to take steps in doing this anyway. My projection, they were going to put a black face in James Bond anyway. Now, would have been better if they put a man as a replacement of a new reset of James Bond as a black man like Elba Ibris? Absolutely. It would have made better sense because he's in his 40s, about to be 50 next year. It would make better sense if you're going to restart this, have a black man play it. But we all know because of the image of the black man right now that I can't say if it's not going to happen. They might still do it. That they want to put out that positive image, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. But if they were going to go about and go and move and ship using a different race of man, that would probably make better sense. But I wouldn't know that because, let's be honest, it's all about imagery at the end of the day, regardless who's spending money or not. Now, moving forward, how I see it, they're going to probably make a woman play as the new agent of the James Bond series. I could be wrong, but we will know in the next 12 months. And during then, they're going to be strategizing and already laid out what they're going to do with Naomi. I think they're going to have Naomi in her own films as MI6 agent. Will she be the replacement James Bond? We will know next year once if they announce creating or replacing a James Bond. And once they come with the decision, you will see a new James Bond in the next 3 to 4 years at best. I project 2024 at best, a new James Bond film. And I could be even say maybe 2025, but I could say by 2024, definitely they're going to have a new James Bond. At least. It's going to take 3 to 4 years. Once they come with a decision next year, I would say the projection of when next film will be posted is 3 to 4 years at best. So we're going to sit back and see what will happen. Another disclaimer and another spoiler. Elvis Ibris, there's a cameo of him in the film No Time to Die. He is in the film. I'm letting y'all know he is a film. That's another spoiler when y'all watch the film. He is in the film. What he's doing in the film, you have to watch and see for yourself. And the one last thing. With all the misogynists in this thing about feminism and all this nonsense about future films, action films, it is what it is. And the reason why I say why they shifted moving gears is they're not trying to create diversity, trying to create more of a diversion and confusion to already a population that doesn't understand that filming and agendas had to be pushed, and then they're going to use the power of films to push these agendas. There's no way around it. So every time you watch these new films, you're going to see maybe potential more homosexuality. You might see more feminism. You might see more woman power. Women could beat men's ass, etc. You're going to see more of this. There's going to be more of these to come. There's some already, and there's going to be more to come. Now, before I wrap this up, is it a good idea to go watch this movie? I would say yes. And here's why. There's a lot of gems and jewels and a lot of Easter eggs in the movie that you got to watch for yourself. You got to see for yourself. Besides all the wonderful action, especially one of the scenes that I like the most is the Aston Martin machine gun spin. And trust me, that was one of the best of many few scenes in the movie, besides other action parts of the movie, which I do enjoy. So I think I lay out everything for y'all. And the article for that of Naomi is in the description of this video. Let me do this. So, like I said, I mean, this was pretty decent. If you're new to this channel, Chaos Reign channel, make sure you hit the red button, top notification bell. Also, you can follow me on Twitter at Chaos Reign 7 and follow me on Facebook, Eric Reign on Facebook. Make sure you leave a comment at the end of the stream. Tell me your favorite Bond moments from the films that you remember watching and which Bond you think you like the best, including the actor. Oh, and another thing, I forgot to tell you. They did not dedicate the 25th film of James Bond in memories of Sean Connery, which I find it very ironic. I wonder it's because years ago he talks about slapping a woman in his home country, Scotland, and stuff. And that's how men move. I'm not sure because of his misogynist ways that they didn't want to put his name in the credit scenes in remembrance of him. That might be the reason why they ain't really reference or mention the first James Bond, which is Sean Connery, for some reason. I could be wrong, but like I said, he should have been dedicated in this 25th film because he was one of the top first James Bond to ever play it, second to Daniel Craig that had a longer skit as James Bond. But like I said, I wouldn't know why they didn't put his name in the end credits. Only time will tell. Only time will tell. So, like always, thank you for listening. And you know where to find me, but you know where to find Chaos Reign. Stop playing. Let it chaos ring.